Hello punters and welcome to a Saturday racing preview. Of course, in this video I'll be looking at the Rosehill meeting on the weekend. Of course, Tab Theo marks Group 2 stakes over the 300 metres. Looking forward to getting into that. Got plenty of other great racing as well. The Schweppes Shirako stakes for fillies and mares. Also the for the 3-year-olds, the Run to the Rose, key lead-up race, the Golden Rose, later in a couple of weeks' time. So a really good meeting to get into. If you haven't already done so, go and have a look at my Flemington preview. Also, go and have a look at my social media pages, Sea Lane Racing Tips on Facebook and Sea Lane _ Racing Tips on Instagram for all of these tips, which I'll be uploading at prior to the commencement of uploading these videos. And also, I do post some tips from during the week and looking to follow on for some good form. So looking into the first race of the card, the track conditions are a good for, and much like here in Melbourne, the weather's fine up there at Sydney, so I can't see that changing. So really look forward to it. For the first time in a while, we're working with two good tracks, both in Melbourne and in Sydney. So really looking forward to it. Look at the first race of the card at Rosehill. It's of course over 400 metres, Class 3. It's the highway race, and looking at the speed map here, I'd say that not a whole lot of speed in this. So Storm Attack might use barrier 1 to get forward. Poor Corner might be up there, but yeah, based off what we've seen, there's not a whole lot of speed, and for a highway race, it's very unusual. I thought this horse was massively over the odds, and it's number 1, Equal Balance for Kurt Goldman. I thought it was pretty good last time out chasing home by Lady Demi, and I thought it was a decent run. It's got the 7-day backup here, comes into this race. Blake McDougall's 2 kilo claim brings it down to 57 kilos, so. And I just thought $23 and $7 a place, so just massively over the odds. So I'm happy to have it on top for me, especially when a lot of these come around those sort of form lines, and they're all pretty bunched together. I can't see a huge bit of difference. If a second, number 9, Gem Dealer, and now they might look to go forward, that lack of speed from the outside barrier. Of course, last time out, they were back in the field, ran on really nice behind Charlotte's Heart and a Randwick Tab Highway race there, and second up here will be much improved. I expect a really good run from it if it doesn't get too far back in the run. In for third, number 12, Storm Attack, as I mentioned, I expect it to go forward in the run, use that inside barrier to its favour. And if they leave it alone out front, it'll be really hard to run down. So I've got it in for third. Then in for fourth, number 16, Sausage for Maddie Dale, who was really good behind Dancehall Girl last start, first up of its preparation. Second up, it's had a win. Second up last prep, and that was at Canberra in a 3-year-old benchmark 65. I don't think that's improved too much off that last start run. Dancehall Girl, of course, won during the week as well, so the form's been frank there. So that looks pretty good coming up against some of these. So I wouldn't be surprised if it runs a good race under Tommy Berry in the saddle. So recap the numbers on the Tab Highway in the first of the card at Rosehill. I do like number 1, Equal Balance, at a bit of each way odds there of $23 and $7 a place. To beat number 9, Gem Dealer, in for second. In for third, number 12, Storm Attack. And in for fourth, number 16, Sausage. Race number 2, it's a benchmark 78 over 1,800 metres. Look at the speed map here. I'd say that Shock Alert will be up there. Perfect Rhyme and Pirate Ben, Congiliere, Lelude. So a little bit of speed in the race. But for me, I think this horse is just massively over the odds. And it's number 5, Lady Cuvée, who will be back in the run, so it won't want to get too far back. But last time out, I thought it was pretty good in closing behind Wimlar. That was on a heavy track on that occasion. This horse has for quite a while not enjoyed having rain-affected surfaces. I mean, it's had 3 starts on a soft for no placings, 2 starts on a heavy for 1 placing. Comes back on top of the ground. It runs much better on top of the ground. I'd see a very much improved performance off that last start. 5th behind Wimlar. Second up here, steps up the extra 300 metres to 800, but I think will suit perfectly. This is also finished third, I mean, in the Queensland Guineas. So, I mean, the Queensland Oaks. So this is a real talented horse here. And, I mean, I think third up here is just off barrier 1. As long as it doesn't get too far back, I think $9 is way over the odds. So I'm happy to have it on top. To beat number 11, Perfect Rhyme, who, if it gets its time in the speed, it'll be hard to run down. It was beaten by a very good horse in De Beer last time out, who goes around in a race time. We'll be mentioning that very shortly, and that we'll get a good form line there. But prior to that, it was only just beaten by Humboshi at Sandown, and then prior to that, it was beaten by Black Wand in a highway race. So this horse has been around the mark, I mean, and that was a pretty good benchmark 78 last time. De Beer really gapped him on that occasion. So if this horse just gets it on its own out front, it'll be really hard to run down. So I've got him for second. In for third, number 6, Shock Alert, who was pretty good last time out behind Adana, of course, and we'll see those sort of form lines match up, see how it goes. This horse much better on top of the ground, so it comes off the rain affected going, back on top of the ground. I could see a much improved performance from it, but I just think $2.50 is a little bit short for a horse that doesn't necessarily win out of turn. It's had 24 starts for the 4 wins, but generally is in the placing, so I'm happy having it in for a place. Then in for fourth, number 7, Humboldt Current, who I think will run a good race as well. It was pretty good last time out by Mr. Madrid at Rosehill on a heavy track. Once again, isn't necessarily a wet track. It comes back on top of the ground and see a bit of improvement there. Another horse I can give a bit of a chance to is Love Is Silly up the top for Chris Lees and Karen McAvoy. But for me, pretty open race number 2, but I'm happy to have number 5, Lady Cavee, on top. I think it's got a bit of upside on some of these. In for second, number 11, Perfect Rhyme. In for third, number 6, Shock Alert. And in for fourth, number 7, Humboldt Current. Race number 3, benchmark 78 over 1,500 metres. Look at the speed map here. I'd say that quite a lot of speed in this race. Irakanji will probably use inside barrier to get forward. Oneness, Dissolute usually gets forward. It runs, or probably might drop back on this occasion, but we did see it recently, obviously in a Group 2 Missile Stakes behind Elite Say. It went forward on that occasion. Angel of Heaven, Fabricator, Map Maker would probably look to get across on the outside, Super Tycoon. So really there's a lot of speed in this race, and as such, I do think that number 7, Adana, look, it'll be hard to beat again. I mean, comes back on top of the ground here, which it does seem to be a bit more of a wet tracker, which concerns me a little bit, but I was happy that it got the win last time out. We'll get a bit of a form reference depending on how Shock Alert runs in the race prior, but I just thought it was a good win last time out. And it's just going to have all of the favours in its hand once again. This time there's going to be so much speed on. It'll be able to come on from the back of the field and really run on into the race. I just think that got to be with it again for me. In for second, number 5, Irakanji. Of the on-speed runners, I see this horse improving. Obviously, last start it was on a heavy in that Adana race. Was no good. Prior to that, it was a decent run behind Prime Candidate at Rosehill. So I'd say coming back on top of the ground, we'll see this horse improve a lot, especially off the inside barrier. This is a horse, that was contested a really good race in last preparation. Looking at a Group 3 behind Terbium. It was I know it finished 11th, but a Group 3 at Newcastle, and then of course was finished 18 lengths behind Very Elegant in a Group 2. But so I know they're not necessarily great runs, but just the fact that they've put this horse into really high level races shows they've got a good opinion of it. So hopefully, if we can return that sort of form, it'll run a good race at the $4. In for third, I do like the chances also of number 2, Dissolute. I made a mention of it before. It's average last time out behind Sweet Deal, but I think that it'll get all the favours this time around if it sits back in the field, smokes the pipe, really runs on. As I mentioned, it was only 4.9 lengths off Elite Say in a Group 2 Missile, so that was a terrific race, and gets back in class here, goes from a benchmark 88 back to a 78. I think $26 way over the odds. Definite place chance for me. And then in for fourth, number 4, Angel of Heaven for Chris Lees with National Willer in the saddle. First up here has come in. Trials haven't been great, but hasn't really been asked to do much. But first up is quite good. It's had 2 starts first up for a win and a placing, so I reckon it could be running on late into fourth. So recap the numbers on race number 3. I like number 7, Adana on top once again to beat number 5, Irakanji in for second. In for third, number 2, Dissolute. And in for fourth, number 4, Angel of Heaven. Moving on to race number 4 over 2,400 metres, benchmark 78. Looking at the speed map in this one, I'd say that Castle St. Angelo use the inside barrier to spear forward, find the front. Miss Millicent won't be far off. Monsieur Sisu will probably get up from the outside barrier, and De Beer will probably just be sitting just behind him. And based off the speed map, look, I really have to go with De Beer. This horse was so good last time out at Moonee Valley. It was a terrific win. It's got so much upside. I think the extra distance are only going to suit it better, and it can definitely beat these. I think it's going on to face some decent company and just working its way through the grades. Comes back on top of the ground, which we saw last time out was a real charm. This horse is definitely much more of a good tracker rather than a wet tracker. So it gets that once again. Comes to Rambling, 2,400 metres. I think it'll be very hard to beat, and it's just drawn to get the perfect run of the race. In for second, number 12, Mrs. Madrid. Well, why is she paying the odds that she is at the moment? It's $16 and $3.90 a place. Seems ridiculous. She was very good, beating the good fight last time out at Rosehill. Who, of course, ran not too bad last week at Moonee Valley. So the form's decent. This horse now will relish the extra distance. Gets up the extra 400 metres. This horse, of course, was 4 lengths off Canedna in a Group 2 weight for age at Doomben. She's really progressive, and I just think that the fact that she's going out at the huge odds, it just really astounds me. She won't want to get as far back she did last time out because there's not going to be a lot of speed in the race, but gee, she's well over the odds. So I've got her in for second. I could definitely entertain each way play there, and I'll probably even be having an each way play myself, even though if De Beer wins, won't get a huge return depending on what you put on there, but you might even entertain doing a high stake on De Beer and then a bit of a small each wayer on Mr. Madrid, but she's just way over the odds. In the third, light number 5, Gayatri, I thought was pretty good by our candidate last time out at Randwick. Comes to Rosehill, never placed here from 2 starts, a little bit of a concern, but she seems to be travelling pretty well and she's on top of the ground. She's had 6 starts and only missed a placing once, so I'd say she'll be in the finish once again. And then in for fourth, number 6, Costello, who has just really had a few unlucky runs, been wide and whatnot in different races. But, I mean, it was 2 lengths by Mr. Madrid last time out. I know that it really did suit the swoopers in that race, but you know, he did seem to have every chance, and I can't believe that he's $5.50 while Mr. Madrid is $16. So really astounds me. But because number 6 Costello, throw him in for fourth. But pretty confident on number 3 De Beer here on top to beat number 12 Mr. Madrid, who, as I mentioned, will be a real knockout chance and definitely entertaining in each way bet on it. In for third, numbers 5 Gayatri, and in for fourth, number 6 Costello. Race number 5 here, it's the Dulcify Stakes, so 1500 metres, 3-year-old race, and really good race this one. I mean, look at the speed here. I'd say True Detective will get forward, but won't be necessarily in the speed. I'd say Just Thinking will find the top. Superior might be just in behind, and Edison won't be far off either, but not a whole lot of speed in the race. And as such, I think True Detective is just going to be really hard to beat, number 2. Won on protest last time out, beating Superior, who, of course, backs up here again, and perhaps Superior was a little bit stiff not to win there, but I think just True Detective gets the right run. James McDonald's in the saddle. Just would like to beat it at the $4 and $1.70 the place. I think it's really, really hard to beat. Number 4, Superior, in for second. As I mentioned, I did like it last week and was beaten by Yao Dash there, but carried a lot of weight, comes back in to 56 kilos. But this also was probably, it did beat True Detective over the line, but had it overturned. So, I mean, I couldn't leave it out. Paying $6.50 and $2.20 the place. I think it's a pretty good price to take. In for third, number 1, Castle Vecchio. Well, he's the best horse in this race, but a bit of a query first up over the 1500 metres, but I mean, he'll be chasing on late. It's not a lot of speed in the race, which goes against him, but he's a very good horse. He beat Loving Gabby last prep before taking his spell. His trials hasn't been asked to do much, but he'll definitely be going on to some bigger and better races here, and I expect him to hit the line hard, but just couldn't back him at the $2.90 first up for me, especially no speed in the race either. And then in for fourth, I thought Just Thinking might be a bit of a chance here. In for fourth, obviously comes out of a maiden, but it did that on that occasion very nicely. It's obviously bred to get over further. It gets up that extra 200 metres. And I just think that if they leave it alone, this horse will give a bit of a kick and be hard to run down. So, recap the numbers of race number 5, the Dulcify Stakes. So, number 2, True Detective on top for me. To beat number 4, Superior, in for second. In for third, number 1, Castle Vecchio. And in for fourth, number 6, Just Thinking. Moving on to race number 6. This is the Run to the Rose. A fantastic race, this one. Group 2 for the 3-year-olds over 1,200 metres. Look at the speed map here. I'd say that Bivouac and Moe's Crown will find the top, and they'll probably share it between them. I don't say there'll be too much more to go forward. Hightail might get forward, and they might also press the button on Dawn Passage. I mean, it's a little bit of interest in this. There'll be a few that will be tossing up on what to do. For me, based on what I saw last start, number 4, Exceedance, just the one to beat. I mean, I know there's not going to be a lot of speed in this race, but there wasn't much in it last time. He was in a 5-horse field, and he rounded them up and smashed them. And I think he'll do something even better here, coming back on top of the ground. I was very had a bit of a query on him first up and quite curious on how he'd go on a heavy track, and he's exploded through it. He comes back on top of the ground. He's going to be extremely hard to beat. So I've got him on top to beat. Number 2, Yes, 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 who is still open for making Everest. And the fact that they're having those sort of talks with him just really does interest me quite a bit. I mean, they obviously have a really good opinion. He seems to have come back well based off his trials. First up last prep, he of course won at Group 2 race being Bellevue Hill at Randwick. So this horse could definitely wouldn't surprise me if he runs into the race well and really does hit the line well. So I've got him in for second. In for third, number 5, Dawn Passage. Got massive opinion of this horse, and I love this horse. Was really good winning the Rosebud. The 4-out race has been quite good. Good trial recently as well. Really went through the line under hold. just be interested to see what they do here, whether they get back in the field or go forward. I mean, if it goes forward, I could really entertain back here because there's not a lot of speed in the race. But yeah, he'll be in the finish no matter what, I wouldn't think. Number 3, Bivouac. I think he can improve into this race here. But he failed on the heavy last time out. Was well beaten, but he still stuck on behind Exceedance. He was beaten by 2 lengths on that occasion, but he beat the rest. And prior to that, his run at Caulfield was terrific. So it wouldn't shock me if he improves once again here. He is back on top of the grade. He's probably a little bit better in that soft range, but I think he'll still run a good race. So recap the numbers on race number 6. Light number 4, Exceedance on top to beat number 2, Yes, Yes, Yes. In for third, number 5, Dawn Passage. And in for fourth, number 3, Bivouac. Moving on into the feature of the day, race number 7, the 1300 metre, Group 2, Tui's Theo Marks Stakes. And looking at the speed map for this one, not a whole lot of speed. I'd say Deploy will fly on the top, Ball will probably be sitting just off them, and Zusain just in behind with probably redouble, I would say. It's not a whole lot of speed in this, and a lot of the key chances in this race are back in the field, so it'd be quite interesting to see how this race plays out, really. And for me, I was actually keen to back number 2, Zusain each way. I mean, he's a great horse, and he did fail last preparation. He was beaten by Turbion when he was a short price favourite, but we know Turbion was a good horse, and he went out and was beaten 6 lengths by Sunlight, of course, up the straight there at Flemington at Group 1. But his 2 trials leading in have been okay. He's on top of the ground here. Just think that $16 odds just is really silly when he's going to be sitting right in behind the speed, and he's going to get the perfect run of the race. So go too slow, he will really come out and give him something to catch. And I think $16 and $3.40 the place, massively over the odds. So I'm happy to play him on top to beat number 6, Arcadia Queen, she's a superstar. She's first up off a 280-day break. She, of course, is targeting the Everest. But for me, a little bit of a query of the first up, 1300. She's maybe using this run to get a little bit of fitness in her legs, and then she'll go obviously explode for the Everest. And with those Everest horses, just got to have a little bit of a query on them because you know that they're getting set for that race. And I just think $1.90 is just way too short for her off the back of a 280-day break. But give her massive respect. She'll beat these if she's up to her best and she's ready to go. In for third, number 12, Baller. Returned to form last time out, being Tarbert. And the owner of this horse has been talking about potentially that Everest slot. So definitely have a high opinion of it. I mean, it's got to improve massively. But like I mentioned with Zusain, it'll be up on speed. Not a whole lot of pressure. Should be able to run on. And I think it'll be well on the finish in the end. And then the other horse that'll be rocketing home late will be Trope, number 11. I mean, she was very unlucky not to win last time out. Was beaten point of length by Deprive. Really, she flashed home. She's going to be much better over a little bit extra ground second up. She'll be flashing home late and get into fourth. Another one that I do want to make a bit of a play. I mean, Tommy Melbourne, he's always up there. He'll probably get close to speed, I would say. He's probably another one that'll get up there. And Gem Song resuming interest as how this horse will go. Got a bit of an opinion on her. So pretty good Theo Marks stakes. With Gemstone, she'll be probably wanting to get over a bit further, so a bit of a sit back and watch for that horse. But for me, number 2, Zusain, just way over the odds. If he brings his best and he's sharp enough, which he often is first up, it's usually when he's right at his peak. I think he can really steal this race sitting just in behind the speed. $16, $3.40 the place. I would like to take that to find out. To beat number 6, Arcadia Queen, who I think she's an absolute superstar. She's going to give the Everest a real shake. But just for me, first up after 280-day break, I know her trials have been really good and she looks ready to go, but just $1.90 is a bit short for me. If she gets out in the market, could definitely entertain backing her. In for third, number 12, Baller, and in for fourth, number 11, Trope, and a very good Theo Marks stakes. Moving on to race number 8, it's the last of the group racing for the day. Fillies and Mares Group 2 over the 1,200 metres. It's, of course, the Schweppes Scirocco Stakes. Look at the speed map here. I'd say Ready to Profit will get forward, along with Alacio. Champagne Carls will probably just follow Ready to Profit up and get just in behind them. Fasika might also look to get forward as well. Mizzy probably won't be too far off, but not a whole lot of speed in this race. And as such, I think she's going to be hard to beat. Little Champagne Cuddles for Bjorn Baker and Brendan Abdallah. I just think she's drawn nicely, drawn to get the perfect run. Her first up records elite, really. And I just think that she's just going to get the perfect run of the race behind the speed. And I think I'm happy to take $3.80 with her first up record. Just bring it up here. Sorry, just lost it for a second there. Yeah, so I mean, she's also really good at this track. She's running at 5 starts for a win and 3 placings. Her first up, she's never missed a placing first up. She had 6 starts, 3 wins, 3 placings. I think she'll be ready to go here, and she'll be she can win this race, and I think she'll win it quite well. So I've got her on top to beat number 11 Dyslexic, who was really good last time out. She really rocketed the line behind Mizzy, and I think with the weight swing comes the Rosehill, where she's won once before and placed twice from 4 starts. Gets back on top of the ground. Well, I mean, she ran on a good track last time out, but she enjoys being on top of the ground. She'll run home nicely late. Number 13, Ready to Profit in for third. Massively over the odds, this horse. I mean, looks to have come back really well. Recent trial was fantastic, beating Champagne Cuddles. It'll be on the speed. If they leave it alone, it'll be hard to beat as well. Number 14 for Seeker, got a bit of time for this horse, and I think its trials lately have been quite good. Beat I'm excited. And looks have a bit of upside, a bit of progression. So I'm interested in it down the bottom of the weights. Look, I'm leaving her out. I'm excited. She's one of my favourites, but just for me, there's not a lot of speed in the race. She's going to have to be so good to win here. But look, I just want to sit back and wait for another day for her. But I wouldn't be surprised if she comes out and wins either. So recapping race number 8 numbers. Number 4, Champagne Cuddles for me on top of the $3.80, $1.70 the place. In for second, number 11, Dyslexic. In for third, number 13, Ready to Profit. And in for fourth, number 14, for Seeker. Also, I think Mizzy will also run a good race. So, of course, was on her last time out. She ran a really good race and won well there. So, real interest in that race number 8. Of course, for the fillies and mares, Sharako Stakes. Invincibella will be one I'm looking forward to. Don't think she'll win first up. She'll be better over the 400 metres, but really interested to see how she runs as well. Final race of the card is a very good sprint race, benchmark 88 over 1100 metres. Look at the speed map here. There's a lot of speed in this race. It's so obvious. Malahat, Star Boy, Sweet Scandal, Spanish Dream, Cattersby will probably get forward from the outside barrier if it runs. So there's a lot of speed in this race. Legend of Condor might boot up from those inside barriers to get a spot. But for me, this race just maps perfectly with number 14, God of Thunder, and I'm happy to have him on top once again. He was just very good last time out. He might not have beat much, but he's not going to have to be too much better to win here. He's 2 from 2 on this track at Rosehill. He's excellent. Looks to see back in the field running on. Looks to be his type of style, and he's going to get that exact same run this time around. And I'm really keen to have him on top. Ahead of number 13, Catch Me, who she's well over the odds. She's coming back from a run behind Exceedance there, where she was just didn't really get through the heavy conditions, and she comes back on top of the track. I would not be surprised if she improves. She's obviously, her 2 wins have been on good surfaces, and she could test some very good racing last prep. Of course, the Golden Slipper behind Kiyomichi, the Blue Diamond behind Liar. She obviously won beating Jettistar at Caulfield when she was well supported there. I mean, she's got so much ability, and $23 and $6 a place is just ridiculous. So I can entertain having an each way go at her. If a third, number 6, Bow Ideal, I've always had a good opinion on this horse, and just felt he just didn't get through the heavy ground first up, which is a bit of the concern. But he comes back on top of the ground. I think it'd be much better coming on top. Just for me, the only concern is barrier 1. If he had have drawn a better gate out a bit wider, I would have been very keen to have backed him, but he's at good odds at $12 as well. Then in for fourth, number 1, All Too Royal, will also be running home from the back if they decide to pull it back in the race and do something similar to what it did last time out on the Randwick Kensington track a few weeks ago. He's a very progressive horse. He loves running here at Rosehill. He's had 2 wins on the track. He's just a winner. He's had 13 starts for 7 wins. He just knows how to be in the finish, and he'll be rocketing home late to finish into 4th for my numbers. So recapping the numbers on the last of the card at Rosehill, I really do like number 14, God of Thunder, on top, although it really has tightened in now. The punters are coming for him now. He's $2.40. In for second, number 13, Catch Me. So I can entertain having an each way go at her, and I'm going to do just that if God of Thunder gets in too short. In for third, number 6, Bow Ideal, is again, I can mention each way play there. And in for fourth, number 1, All Too Royal. I think they're the top chances. Number 5, Sweet Scandal. I wouldn't be leaving her out of quaddies or first 4. She could run a good race first up here as well, I would have thought. So recapping the numbers, that's the full card at Rosehill. Hopefully we get plenty of winners. There's a lot of value both there and at Flemington. So if you can get a couple of winners tomorrow, you'll be very well off, I believe. And if we follow my numbers in, hopefully I'll continue the form that I've been in, and we can get plenty of winners, continue to Enjoy the racing. Obviously, we've got the springs here. We're getting these great races. These great horses are coming back. Looking forward to it tomorrow. Hopefully get plenty of winners. Thanks for following. If you haven't already done so, check out my social media pages. Click the subscribe button. You'll never miss one of my videos each and every Friday ahead of Saturday racing. And if you're following, good luck and thanks for your support, and happy punting tomorrow.